Okay, Alan Miles here. This is a tutorial following on from our kick emulation with the ES2 synthesizer. Now there is an alternative method, a different type of synthesis that you could create kicks from, and I'm going to show you it now. So previously we had the ES2 set like this, and we were using a sine wave, singular sine wave, no filter, the pitch assigned to envelope 2 and amplitude to envelope 1. Quite useful. The method we're going to use now is a method called self resonance, filter self resonance. And I've loaded up an ES2 here. I'm going to go for the factory default setting. Filter self resonance is where you don't use any oscillators and you feed a tiny bit of noise, a little spike of noise into a filter, and then you boost the resonance of the filter cutoff to create a peak which creates a ring at a particular frequency that you've boosted. So the filter starts to act a little bit like an oscillator. So I can sort of show you this now. So first of all, let's set up this default factory default setting ready for this tutorial. So we're not using any oscillators for this. So let's turn oscillator 1, 2 and 3 off. You can see they're all grayed out. We'll bypass the vector mode here that it automatically default loads at, put that to off. Bypass these two here and bypass that one for now, the far left in the modulation matrix. Now the tiny bit of noise comes from analog synthesizers where there was already noise in the noise floor of the electrical analog equipment, and it would feed a tiny bit of noise into the filter. And then when you boosted the resonance, it would boost that noise at a real peak, which creates a ring. Now listen to this, I'll feed the bit of click. Here it is, I have to put filter reset up here, and that feeds a tiny bit of noise. Hear that? Tiny bit of noise into the filter. Without it, I've got nothing. And remember, I've got no oscillators turned on, so I've just got that little click. You hear it? And what will happen when I boost that frequency, it'll create a ringing sound. And the filter cutoff starts to act like a pitch because you're moving that boosted frequency. See, without resonance full up, when resonance is full up of this filter, the cutoff starts to act. Now I can show you what that is. If I load an EQ, load an EQ onto that ES2 channel. That's the noise being fed into the filter. Now if I boost frequency on the EQ and make it very thin, and then move the frequency, so that boosted frequency, even though that's a bit of untuned noise, just boosting that frequency makes it ring and turns it into a note. That's quite natty, and that is a visual display of what this function is doing here, the resonance of the synthesizer filter and the boosting of it here. The moving, that's the boosting, is the resonance, this one, and the moving of the frequency is very much like moving that. And I'll turn that off for a minute and we'll go back to the synthesizer way of doing it. Turn up the resonance. So we can hear that it's got the sonic texture to create some percussive kick out of, but it's not working again. Remember, we had to emulate the tightening of a skin in that other method. So we're going to assign this time, because it's the cutoff that's acting like the pitch, we're going to assign cutoff 1 and 2 just for now. We've all got this filter set to filter 1 anyway, fully to the left. So cutoff 1 and 2, we're not going to go via anything, and I'm going to go use envelope 2 change the envelope 2 settings, and that'll tune then shape your amp envelope. There you go. So that cutoff 1 and 2, envelope 2 is assigned to open it, and that's what's emulating the stretched skin. Now in slot 2, let's put amplitude in there like we did with the previous one. Envelope 1 we're going to use this time. And there you go. Another useful way of creating a kick. See if drive adds anything. No, let's go. Distortion can add a bit of something. So I could spend hours doing this. Let's listen to the original ES2. That's the one using the sine oscillator, look. So it's using a sine oscillator. And then this method, this other method, different method of synthesis here, is using the filter. You can further shape these sounds at will if I wanted a bit more of that sub. Afterwards I can bring up the decay. If I want it clipped a bit more. Change the pitch on the cutoff. There you go, an electronic kick using filter self resonance. My name's Alan Miles. I'll see you later.